Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Andy.
And
the Jeremy and Andy coordinate their outfits podcast.
That's right. We're so in sync. We're so on the same page. Yeah. We don't have to discuss these things. We just show up and we're like, we both knew.
It's Black T-shirt day.
It's Black T-shirt day. Yeah. This week, we are talking about the movie Novocaine.
Yeah.
Novocaine is, of course, the new action comedy starring Jack Quaid, somebody who we've sung his praises quite a bit, I think, on this podcast.
Yeah.
And we were like, I hope this is a good movie just because we always hope movies are good, but we also just hope Jack Quaid has, kind of keeps this run going.
Yeah.
We obviously had a lot of good things to say about him in the movie Companion.
Yeah, man, he's so good.
And we talked about his ability to play that spectrum of a character.
Yeah.
Like, he can kind of be like dopey and lovable, but then he can actually pull off menacing.
And
when
you buy him in everything, yeah.
And of course, in Companion, he kind of starts off being the dopey and lovable, but most of the movie he's swung towards menacing. Yeah. And in this one, it's like, what if he's dopey and lovable and kind of carries that while also doing a little bit of action? Pulls it off great in this movie.
Oh, yeah. This dude is awesome.
Yeah. I won't say that I've been kind of slow to the Jack Quaid bandwagon, I don't think. But, like, the first thing I saw him in was The Boys, the TV show. Mm-hmm. And I think just because I'm kind of lukewarm on that show, I was like, yeah, he's good. He's fine. Yeah, this guy's okay. And then, it's like this year with Companion and this, it's like, no, okay, like, yeah, this guy, like...
I'm on board now.
Yeah, he's really... I mean, of course, we, Scream. Got to throw that out there because we both liked him in Scream. But that's another one where the franchise is such that, like, when you like people in the franchise, you got to have confirmation because you're like, well, is it just because the franchise is so good?
Right.
Everybody,
you need to see
I've never seen anybody in Scream and been like, well, I didn't like them.
Right.
So, yeah. But now with the two completely original movies and Companion and this, it's like, the Jack Quaid assance.
I'm a Jack Quaid guy now.
Is fully on. This movie, we'll go over a little bit of a summary, but it's pretty easy. People who see the previews, like, you get the gist of the movie.
You do.
Jack Quaid plays our main character. Is it Nathan Kane? Is that his name in the movie?
Yep.
But his nickname is Novocaine because he has a genetic disorder where he can't feel pain. Like, his nerve endings don't work. And
why not?
This is actually a real thing in life. I remember.
I didn't even know if it was.
I remember being a kid and hearing about this condition, and every kid is like, "Oh, that's awesome," and then the adults have to be like, "Actually, it's a really terrible existence because when you don't feel pain is a good thing. It warns your body of all the bad things happening. You can rest your hand on a hot stove and not realize it while your hand's burning, and that's the life that this character's been living with." And he talks about his parents basically bubble wrapped him, and so he lives a very cautious life. It's kind of a typical tale of a protagonist who's grown up very cautious and reserved, and then gets called into action.
Yep. Oh yeah, we've seen that beat before.
Yeah. In this one, the inciting incident is that Nathan does not have much of a social life, but he's the assistant manager at a bank. There's one of his coworkers is a lovely young lady played by Amber Midthunder, who you mentioned was from Prey.
Yeah.
I saw her in the previews, and I was just thinking, like, she looks familiar, but didn't place it until you said that.
Yeah.
Hey, there's someone else that, has I have a little bit of history with it, but I really enjoyed. And anyways, bank robbery happens. Well, they have a date. I should say that. They have a date. They connect. He's like, finally something great happening in my life. Yeah. And then bank robbery happens, and they take this girl as a hostage. And there's our real plot lift-off point. There's our call to action. And he goes, I've got to go get her back. Yeah. I can't let the one good thing that's finally happened get away. And he chases her down. And even though he is totally unequipped to take on this challenge, the one thing he has going for him is he can't feel pain. And so it leads to all sorts of outrageous, bloody, violent, crazy action.
It really does.
So that's really the setup. I've talked a lot. So, Andy, I'm just going to throw it to you. What'd you think of Novocaine?
Dude, I had a blast.
I had a feeling. I mean,
I just had a ton of fun.
This movie's too fun for that not to be the results.
It's like, I always hate this because it sounds like a cop out. It's like, does it really even matter if this is good or not? Or like it is good because it's so fun. But it's like, does it really matter if you pick this movie apart or not? It's just like, this is a blast. Jack Quaid is so good. He is so good. Mm-hmm. And movies are just the gift that keep on giving, because now all of a sudden I'm like, Amber, is that her first name? Amber?
Yeah, Amber.
Amber Midthunder. Awesome. And like just a couple months ago, we did like I'm buying their stock. I never even thought about her.
Yeah.
Shame on me. But in my defense, like, I'd only seen her in Prey.
Yeah.
And it's like, for her to pull that off so convincingly, and she's awesome in Prey, and then play this, which is obviously, pretty much anything you do after Prey is going to be a complete 180. And this was, and she's great in this too.
Yeah.
So, two big thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I feel the same. You're exactly right. Like, this is not the type of movie you want to nitpick because...
What's it matter?
Sure, you could, but you're like, everyone knows. Like, any problem you have, the film's very self-aware.
Yeah.
It knows, like, it's being ridiculous.
But it's a smart movie, I felt like.
Yeah. So I just wanted to go ahead and throw out the spoiler warning early because the basics of it are so obvious. They're right there in the previews. And then I just don't want to ruin any of the fun while we talk about the things that we enjoyed. For people who haven't seen it, and I'd say people go see it.
I'm going to go ahead and say, though, there's a major thing that happens in this movie that the previews did not spoil.
Yes.
And I won't get into that yet.
And because I wanted to get into that pretty early, I wanted to go ahead and give this spoiler warning so we can talk about some of the fun stuff. So, yeah, I just want to get that warning out there because I didn't want to slip into that.
I mean, just as usual, go see this movie and then listen to this.
Yeah. So we talked about it, a week ago with Mickey 17, not quite a week ago, how even in a silly movie, you can do the like romantic connection thing pretty easily, which we thought Mickey 17 just kind of dropped the ball on. Like, we didn't really feel anything for these characters. And here in this goofy movie, Novocaine, I felt like they did a really good job with that first date thing, just having you connect with these characters.
They did a great job.
Where you're going like, I am rooting for these crazy kids.
I would have watched just a rom-com with these two in it.
Yeah.
They did. That was a great 20 minutes or whatever they devoted to them.
I honestly couldn't even
I
tell
bet
you
it was.
that.
I bet it was about 20 minutes. That was great. They both had their moments to shine. They both reveal things about each other. There's that great spot where like he sees the old dude from high school that used to pick on him, and then she has a great moment mixed in with that, and it's like, love these two. Love them.
Yeah, and then the reveals when they go back to your place, and him being such like a sort of buttoned up conservative character, but then having like the body covered with tattoos.
Dude, that was great.
Is a great little twist.
That was great.
The tattoos that he's given himself apparently, which is so funny because again, a guy who can't feel pain, like that's a great little twist.
Great
like,
touch.
Why wouldn't a guy who can't feel pain just like burn ink
Experiment
himself
on
and
himself,
not have a problem with it because he's not feeling it?
And once again, it's amazing how Jack Quaid, literally in the same scene, can be like, oh, I'm kind of backwards and weird and neurotic and stuff. But he pulls off looking cool and tough with this full body tattoo.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
And then, just again, little details that make you root for these characters. Her little reveal that she's got the scars in her stomach from cuts, and it doesn't even really go into it.
Yeah,
but just
and
showing
she's been
like,
in therapy. And
yeah,
like,
showing they've both been through things, and that's why
it makes them both feel, even though it's exaggerated, obviously in his case, but it's like it makes them feel like real human beings.
Yeah,
it was great. It was so good. And then Jack Quaid is so good because they have this great night together, and he wakes up the next morning and he's just so excited. Like he's tossing the food in his blender, and it's just
and missing. It's just so great.
And he doesn't even care. It's like, this guy is just great. He's so charming. He is so good.
Yeah. He does. You're right. He does a great job of pulling off like a little neurotic and too nerdy, but in a way that isn't over the top. Like, so just the example of when he's going to say something to her at work the next day, and he's kind of rehearsing the line in his head, and he's like,
"You've changed my life."
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, no, that's too much."
Yeah,
and you're like, the wrong kind of nerdy guy. You're like, "Oh my gosh, dude! Like, pump the brakes, you're a weirdo." But somehow it's just so charming coming from him.
It's so good, and he plays that like, I'm nerdy, but I know it, and he's got that self-awareness. And man, I just can't say enough good things about Jack Quaid.
Yeah, but that leads us to again the robbery, that turning point in the movie. Here's the thing: that first 20 minutes or so that you're talking about is so like sweet and endearing. I remember it being a little bit jarring how violent it got very quickly, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is an R-rated action comedy."
Dude, and it earns its R rating. Like, this is a violent movie.
Yeah, the first times when like suddenly like they're hitting people and like blood's, going out, and you're like, "Oh right, that's like, the movie I'm in." It just happened to have a 20-minute love story set up, and then we're into the action in it. Yeah, violent gun shootout.
Oh yeah,
bad guys who are intimidating. I'll just put that like that. You kind of had to have that like. It wasn't just a bank robbery. It was like they're on a murder spree, basically.
Yeah, like these are just tough-looking guys.
Yeah.
Even though they're dressed as Santa.
Exactly. The one main bad guy, his character's name is Simon. He's played by Ray Nicholson. I looked it up. I'm like, I really haven't seen this guy in anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a very distinct look.
He does.
And a very distinct, for this part, it's perfect. Like, he's kind of got this, like, crazy, but menacing look to him.
Yep.
This
dude does exactly what the part needs him to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they kidnap the girl. The criminals escape in 2 cars, which leads to, again, Jack Quaid pursuing them, and then they separate to try to lose them, and that's how we end up with the whole movie's worth of pursuit, because he picks the wrong car, but then has to.
And that's
find
a
her.
Great beat too. Just he picked the wrong car. Like, yeah, that's just great.
And we get our first action scene of him fighting a guy who is not capable of fighting, other than his the one bit of leverage he has. Doesn't feel pain, so he can take the abuse and grab on. They're in a kitchen. He can grab on the hot things and doesn't even realize.
They have so much fun, and they're so creative with the I don't feel pain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So great, because he picks up a hot pan and then he reaches in the
grease,
boiling, like something you fry French fries in, and gets the gun. And him fighting that guy is where Jack Quaid, I think, just shines, because it's he'll punch that guy and be like, I'm so sorry. And it's he's just he pulls that stuff off so well. We've seen those kind of beats in movies before, but something about Jack Quaid doing it, he just really, he's good at the physical fighting and stuff. I mean, I know there's stunts and all that, but it's and then he throw the flour on the guy, and he's like, you don't have a gluten thing, do you? And it's this is just great. That at that point, I'm I'm in. I was already in, but that especially, it's all right, job well done, Novocaine, you've got me.
Yeah. It's a little unfortunate that it's a scene that ultimately the previews did spoil.
They did, of course.
So, the whole fight, you're I know how this is.
I know, but I'm still having fun.
I did still have fun with it. It's one of those movies, almost, we talk about this with the Mission Impossible franchise, that the previews can show you the sort of big thing. It doesn't ruin it.
And you can still enjoy it.
But there's part of me that goes, I wonder if I hadn't known that in the scene, if I would have enjoyed it just that much more. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But you're right. It didn't rob me of enjoyment. But yeah, so he kills that guy, and it's
all great. He kills that guy, then he just immediately vomits. It's awesome. This is so funny.
Yeah. And then, he's like you said, it's a smart movie. He's a smart character. I was glad they didn't do a lot of bumbling around. I don't know what to do because this isn't my world. He's smart. He sees the guy's tattoo and he takes a picture of it and he's like, let's try to get to the bottom of this to figure something out.
You're right. They balance that great, where it's never it never was boy, this guy's like Batman or something. He's just figuring everything out. But you're right. They didn't spend too much time with him just I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So that leads. I should say introduce another character that's largely on the phone for a lot of it. That's his one friend in the world.
Yeah.
A guy who's his gaming friend.
Yeah.
It's played by Jacob Batalon. I don't know if I'm Batalon. I don't know.
Everyone's gonna know him from Spider-Man.
I was about to say. I just called him Ned.
Ned.
That's all I know.
I guarantee that's what everyone calls him.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jacob, but
you're Ned, bro.
But yeah, just be happy that you landed a part and nailed it so much that people just know you for that at least.
Yeah.
So Ned, and then of course Ned famously in Spider-Man was like, I'm the guy in the chair, the guy helping out, and that's kind of the part he's got in this one.
Look,
so
this dude is great at just being the sarcastic, kind of oafish guy, and it's just run with it, man. You do a really good job at that.
Being very earnest.
Yeah.
So he's the sort of reluctant help that Jack Quaid keeps going to.
It's like a plot device. It's I've got this dude who I can call and he can just find out information, but it works. It's fine. It doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah, it's a movie that you don't want to bog down too much in those details.
Cares?
You're
who cares?
Just let's keep moving, keep having fun. It's about this point in the movie that the big twist happens.
Dude, it's really good, I thought.
I did not see it coming.
I didn't see it coming. Even when they first started talking. Yeah,
you're right.
Because they hide it. They're hiding it, like we talk about, the magician hiding it in plain sight.
Yes. And even it's one of those things, I was probably, they could put a camera on me and it's boom, here's the reveal. And I would have probably like this.
Oh,
like,
you can probably explain what it is much better than I would.
Well, so the kidnappers are at their meeting, their rendezvous point, and obviously one is missing because he split off, and
this is the guy that Jack Quaid has fought and
is
killed,
going after him, and he's the brother of one of the kidnappers, and that guy's losing it because he's like, I need to go find my brother. The other guy's just wait, he'll be here, and then Amber Midthunder is like, yeah, I figured right, and at first you're like, oh, she's letting the bad guys have it. Yeah, she's got a little fight to her. And the guy comes over and starts talking to her, and he's menacing, but she's not backing down.
And I'm still like, going,
yeah, you're going, okay. Yeah, like she's not just gonna be your typical damsel in distress. And then I think it builds up where you think he's actually gonna like threaten her, but then he like throws her some gummies, some Coca-Cola bottle gummies. He's like, take these, you love these. And you're like, what? And he's like,
I think still I wasn't.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the slowness with which my brain wrapped around it. And then you realize, oh, you're like,
she calls him by name.
She's not tied up or anything. Yep. She's not. And you're like, wait, yeah, she's not tied up. Wait a minute. She's with them.
Yeah.
She's part of the crew.
I got to say, as much as I rag on trailers, good job for not revealing this twist.
I have. This is a 0% complaint about the twist, but I just want to go ahead and have this conversation now. Because we get this moment, and it is a great wow moment.
It is.
Then you get the moment later where he finds out, where Novocaine finally at the end finds out, and it even does the kind of camera zoom like revelation to him. And my only thought was, okay, did they blow it too soon? And what would happen as an audience if we found out with him?
We found out as he found out.
Yeah, or was it right to do it then? And it probably was right to do it then, just because I think we went too far in the movie. But I want to be able to somehow have that experience both ways and then know which way it would have worked.
I think it may be smart, though, because you need to process that a little bit before he finds out, because otherwise I think you're going to completely turn against her.
Yeah.
Because Jack Quaid's just so good and so likable.
I think you're right. And not only that, but you just needed those things to go along with the plot. I think it helped fill in the time watching those relationships and watching her in the conflict she was feeling. Kind of helped fill in the gaps.
You're right, because otherwise it just goes from him going from one place to another and just beating people up.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a break, and it's a new spin on an old thing that we've seen a million times. Like, because that's what I was saying. Like, okay, it's like she's gonna be the spunky like. I'm not going down without a fight. That's good. That's fine. Then I was like, oh man.
Yeah. And we've seen the wait till the very end and then big twist thing as well.
This is like a middle of the movie twist.
And I think once it happens, it kind of opens you up to, well, now I don't know what's going to happen in this movie.
That's what I was going to say. The benefit of doing it is you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Because, before that, you're thinking, look, I get it. Like, this is a blast. And he's going to save the day and get the girl. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, now you've got time to be like, what is going to happen when he gets there and finds out?
Yeah.
So, job well done.
Exactly. Yeah, because you suddenly don't know what result you're rooting for.
No idea. I had no idea what was going to happen at the end of this movie.
Like, obviously, I'm rooting for Jack Quaid's character, but before that, you're like, I want him to go rescue the girl and get the girl. Yeah, and at that point, you're like, I guess I just want him to be okay.
I know. It was like, I felt so bad for him when he finds out that she's. So the deal is the main bad guy we were talking about.
Yes.
He is her like, foster. Do you call it foster brother? I don't even know what you call it.
I mean,
she was adopted.
Yes.
And into this family. So they're brother and sister.
Again,
but
groundwork laid in that opening 20 minutes where she's telling a little bit of her tragic backstory.
And that's a great kind of like hiding it in plain sight too, because you're like, oh, I'm just learning about this character. I never would have thought that her being adopted would come back into play.
Yeah. So another great thing hiding in plain sight, again, this is going to be my favorite bit of IMDb trivia for the week, is the IMDb trivia is in the spoiler section made the point of, in that scene where they run into his old high school classmate who's a bully, and then Jack Quaid goes to the bathroom. When he comes back, she's sitting with that guy and laughing and yucking it up, and at first you can tell he's like heartbroken, like, oh,
oh man.
And he goes over there, and it turns out she's tricking the guy and gets him to take the shot that's like pure
ghost
like
pepper
hot sauce. That's like wrecks him, and they're leaving and they're laughing, and he's like, wow, you were a great actress. He didn't even see it coming, and it's like, and he didn't even register she might be doing the same with him, and she was.
It is. It's
and
great.
It's like, oh, that was right there.
That's good stuff.
She showed him what she's capable of doing.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Like you said, smarter movie than
it's a smarter movie than
probably,
it needs to be.
Yeah, than you would probably initially want to give it credit for.
Yep.
So then the next big like set piece is maybe the most fun set piece is when he goes to the guy's house. No, okay, I'm skipping the tattoo parlor guy that he fights, and
I kind of thought that was awesome.
That was awesome. Another one that too much was given away in the previews, but it was still a lot of fun and very violent. Again,
good grief.
Every time the violence kind of ratchets up a notch in this movie, I'm like, right, again, yes, this is the movie I'm watching.
But it's always like something situational makes him have to get that violent. Like he's laying in all this broken glass, and he's like, okay, here we go, and yeah, it is violent.
And yeah, that's a scene like there's probably not a lot to talk about because you just got to watch it. But the next big set piece that's a lot of fun is him breaking into the guy's house that's booby trapped.
Dude, that's so fun.
Which just had so many great little jokes in it. Some good physical comedy from Jack Quaid too, like getting the arrow in the leg and having to walk around.
The way he's walking is great.
Is really funny. And then the guy shows up, his brother, and finds him, and he's stuck hanging upside down. He's contacted Ned. Ned said he can get there in 10 minutes, so he sets his watch.
It's 15 minutes away. I'll take the Harley, he says. Which, I'll be there in 10.
Again, partially because you know it from the previews that it's played by Ned. Yeah. Partially because it's from every movie ever played. The gamer guy that you've only met over the phone
not
the ponytailed handsome guy driving a Harley.
But again, like good writing in that first 20 minutes where they just have a quick. He's talking to him about how much luck he has with ladies. Yeah. And it's like, he's lying and stuff, but it's still good stuff. Like it makes the reveal better, funnier.
But again, Novocaine's smart. The guy finds him and he does this reverse psychology plea, like just make it quick. And the guy's like, I got a better idea. He's going to torture him. He's like, perfect. That'll buy me the time I need for my friend to get here.
So good.
And then, another scene like, in the previews, but didn't ruin it for me because it's so funny. It's so him trying to pretend how bad the torture hurts.
It's almost like Tarantino-esque how it's balancing violence with humor.
Yeah.
Like it straight up shows that dude's fingernails getting ripped off.
Oh my gosh. It is.
And it's like,
It's weird because of the humor part. Like it's the kind of gross, violent stuff that normally I'm like, I just don't like. But it's somehow so fun.
So fun.
That I'm like, why is it letting me accept this gross violence?
I don't know. It's great.
But it's great.
All credit goes to Jack Quaid, in my opinion. Yeah.
His friend shows up just in time, just as he needed to save him. Then they get a little fighting, get the other great preview moment that with his friend tossing him the knife and that smile on his face, like, I got
slow motion. That's just great. That's great.
It's one of two great knife throwing jokes in the movie.
That does get two good jokes. But one thing the preview didn't give away is how funny that bad guy's death scene is.
Yeah.
Because that is just great stuff. It's so convoluted, but Jack Quaid's got that arrow in his leg. He ends up, so the guy's head is between Jack Quaid's legs. That arrow has gone through Jack Quaid's leg, through the guy's head, in between his legs, and out his other leg. So this dead guy is just stuck with his face buried in Jack Quaid's crotch. And it's just like, this is incredible. Like, this is so funny. They play that for the perfect amount of time. They don't dwell on it too long, but you see the visual of it, and it's just really funny. And obviously, I've never seen anything like that before in a movie.
Yeah.
So,
that leads to, some other little things with the cops and the stuff, but it leads to him figuring out where he needs to go to find the girl.
Right.
And he goes there, and we get that big reveal for him.
Yeah.
That the girl's in on it. And the brother who's just relishing.
Oh, man.
The brother Louis says, this is the funniest thing that's ever happened in my life. You think she's...
Yeah. And Jack Quaid he just looks like the most sad puppy dog ever.
Yes.
And you just feel so bad for this guy.
Yes. And somehow they've done enough. Again, probably why it had to be revealed earlier so you could see her conflict.
Yes.
And when she's like apologetic about it, you're not like her. Yeah, you don't hate her. You're kind of like, yeah, she's turning a new leaf.
She's trying, man. Yeah. She's trying. And I always say that's where I say too, like, kudos to her. Because you have to be likable enough in those first 20 minutes to forgive, as an audience member. Otherwise, you're just like, I don't care less what happens to her now. So for her to be likable enough for you to still be invested, I think is kudos to her.
Yeah. The cops show up. Again, just so they fight. Jack Quaid
pretty typical stuff we've seen in movies. Gunfight.
Cop shows up, shoots the guy, and it's.
You think the bad guy's down and out, and he's not.
It's and it's again, kind of caught me off guard a little bit but it shouldn't have because I'm like, that was resolved too quick.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, there's got to be more movie left because
And there is.
And there is. And I was like, of course, like
Yeah.
Again, I was just a dumb movie watcher during this movie, but I really love
That's what
being
you
a
should
dumb,
be.
Yeah,
That's what
I
you
love
should be
being
during
a
this
dumb
movie, yeah.
watcher during this because I wasn't going, well, obviously now it has to. I was just
you just need to be along for the ride.
Yeah. So, yeah, they load up Novocaine in an ambulance. The bad guy, of course, isn't dead.
Hijacks the
which
ambulance.
you should have known because he was shot like in the lower stomach area, which no bad guys ever died from in a movie.
No.
Actually, no characters never died from it, at least not immediately.
No.
You gotta, if it's a good guy, I saw a great meme one time that's like, it's a movie rule that if a guy gets shot in the side, at some point he has to open his jacket and reveal a bloody stain,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the bad guy, of course, steals the ambulance that Jack Quaid's in to get away, and that's going to lead to our final showdown. And then, of course, the main other characters, which is going to be Amber Midthunder, Ned, and Lady Cop, all end up in the pursuit car going after him.
But it all works.
You got to have the convergence.
It's
of main
ridiculous,
characters.
but it's all done well enough that I was like, okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's again in this world where it's just asking you to come along and have fun.
Yep.
It's
Don't
asking you to
overthink
say,
it.
Yeah, don't overthink. They'll just shove it. Don't overthink like that. This guy's hands at this point would be so mangled that he wouldn't be able to move anything.
Right.
And we just got to get past that. And it's like great because if they went too realistic, there would be no fun.
It'd be no fun.
We're just trying to have some fun here.
Yeah. If it's not fun, then it's just kind of a really gritty, violent, gross movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that leads to our main sort of action set piece. Here's the thing. The action in this movie is not bad.
No.
But it's not really the point.
It's not.
So, like, there's no point in breaking down, like, what'd you think of the final fight sequence?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. It's really more kind of what's happening in between the fights.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a pretty gruesome final fight.
Holy cow. This movie does not hold back.
If somebody's like, oh, I can't watch bloody violence on screen, I'd be like, maybe not the movie for you.
It probably is not the movie for you because
we're in spoilers. We're going to say it. Like,
that's true.
They break his arm in like the arm hanging off, bone sticking out.
It's gross.
Way, and when
like that guy was like pulling and then it.
Yeah, when he's doing it, you're just like, don't do it. Don't show it. Don't.
Oh, it showed it. It showed it.
And then, of course, that's not the end of it because that's how he gets the final fatality.
And it's coming. This is the last 10 minutes of this movie is like Mortal Kombat.
It really is.
He takes that bone and just right up through that guy's chin, up through his mouth, and you're like, oh man.
And according to the IMDb trivia, that is some character on Mortal Kombat's finishing move or one of their finishing moves. And I was like, oh, okay.
That seems about right.
I don't remember that from Mortal Kombat, but it does not surprise me at all.
It's really, really violent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. I will say my favorite part at the end is when Jack Quaid, they have this scuffle in the ambulance and that's all done. There's some gross stuff there too for him to get out of those handcuffs.
Oh yeah.
But he gets like the shocker things, which we've seen in a million movies before. And he's like, hey, guess what? But he's like getting ready to do the catchphrase, but the thing's not quite like all the way charged or whatever. So he's just like, he just mumbles to kill some time. And it's like, this movie, like with that stuff, like I said, we've seen it in a ton of in Scream 4, they use the shockers on someone. But it's like to add that twist of like he really wants the cool catchphrase, but it's not ready yet. It's like that's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. I forgot about how he got out of the handcuffs. That was also, you're right.
That was really gross.
You know what? Kudos to the whatever you call it, the props department, makeup department, whoever it is,
it all looked
made
good.
All the
it was gross,
broken limbs because it looked real enough for me to be like, ugh,
and it's funny because like that scene we talked about where he fishes the gun out of the oil. Then for the whole entire, and they do a good job of keeping that up. His hand is just a disgusting mess the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. Even at the end, there's jokes about it when it's in like the.
He's like, I'm getting a skin graft. And he's like, yeah, get it. You need to get a glove. Man.
Yeah, it's really gross. And then the movie gives us kind of the happy ending that we want.
It does, kind of happy ending while still feeling a little realistic, I guess, in the midst of all this ridiculousness.
Yeah,
yeah, she's in jail.
Yeah,
yeah,
which was another good little reveal. I mean, like you kind of know
you saw it coming, but it was still a good reveal.
Yeah. As they pan out, and then the grumpy security guard.
That guy was great.
It's like that's really humorous. He's like, I know that's not an open flame I see over there.
They're like,
He's got a
oh, this
little
guy.
candle.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, not
It's
at all.
really good. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it does. It gives you a happy ending while you still feel like what's her name in the movie?
Her name is Sherry.
Sherry. Thank you. It's like she gets kind of what's coming to her, but you feel bad for her, but not too bad. And she's getting out in 7 months, and it's very much like they're in a relationship and they're going to be happy and fine. So yeah, it's the right call to give Novocaine a happy ending after all he's gone through.
Yeah, for sure. And the final shot, weird little payoff things I just love like this. He eats a piece of pie.
Yeah.
Because it's
and
early in the movie on their date.
He just goes for it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was he can't eat solid foods because of the danger it would be to him to like bite his tongue or something like that.
Yeah. And he just looks so happy, and you're right. That's where it's like, yep, this guy's won. Like he's gotten everything he wants. Yeah. And then movie over. Hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
When we were first talking about this movie, maybe we talked about it on Most Anticipated Movies. I can't remember when we talked about it, but I said, this premise has kind of been done before in the movie Kick-Ass, where the guy came. That's not true now, but I'll say this: like I think Kick-Ass had already sort of fallen out of the public consciousness. Yeah, this movie is really just like put it away. Like we don't need that anymore.
Nope, we've got our new version.
Better than what?
Absolutely,
it
is.
That was.
Yep.
This is the type of movie that could be open-ended to have a sequel. I hope they don't, honestly, just because we don't need like what else happens to this guy that he's got to call upon it. I think it's a great one-off.
I do too.
But now it's time for Andy. What is the most important time on our podcast?
Yes,
and that's where would Uncle Chip best be served in this movie?
I thought about this a lot. Like you want to just right off the bat, I want to say like he just should have been one of the bad guys. But I think Uncle Chip would have best been served as just like he was just like some kind of annoying customer that would come in the bank frequently. You know what I mean? And it's like as soon as the robbers broke in, like just in the background, you just see Uncle Chip like dart out the door and just run for his life, or like he has a chance to like they're holding up some old woman or something and he could save him, but he doesn't. I think that would be the best use of Uncle Chip. And then he's just gone from the movie. What do you think?
So I think Uncle Chip would have been a great little replacement for Matt Walsh's cop character. Matt Walsh plays the other cop, and he's kind of
that would be my one slight nitpick about this movie. He just felt like he was in a different movie.
Yeah, he's kind of a comedy that guy. Like he's got bit parts in just a ton of comedy movies. I think sometimes he's really funny, sometimes he's not.
He felt really out of place
in part because he's one of those guys that like seems to be up for anything. He'll play like these really like weird parts or like gross parts. Like he's playing like just a off the wall guy or crazy guy. And when I saw he's in this movie, I was like, oh, I could see him popping up and being funny. And you're right. He felt like he was in a different movie or something.
I mean, he didn't hurt the movie. I mean, we're singing its praises, but it's kind of a strange part and a strange casting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think, maybe
that'd
put
be fun.
Uncle Chip as that character.
That'd be awesome.
With the lady cop who's more the straight cop, the good cop.
Just has Uncle Chip to play off of.
Yeah. Maybe we get some humor out of that.
But once again, the right answer is that it doesn't matter as long as Uncle Chip's in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll vote for that. That would be great.
Or if, even if no Uncle Chip was Ned, he's the guy on the other
really
line.
Funny. That'd be funny.
Maybe he does have a ponytail.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Like you said. Yeah, you're right. The correct answer is there's no wrong part for Uncle Chip.
Every part is the right part for Uncle Chip.
Yeah. Our conclusion, go see the movie Novocaine.
Go see the movie. And, we say this a lot on here. I feel like I've said it numerous times. Studios, direct, just make fun movies. Not every movie has to be the heavy, weighty, not everything needs to be the brutalist. Just makes, thank goodness, just make some fun movies, people. This is a blast. And Jack Quaid, I'm going to go see whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
And put Jack Quaid and Amber Midthunder in another movie together. I'd watch it. Literally just, you tell me those two are doing a movie together.
So do a Novocaine sequel that's not even action comedy. That's just, hey, what happens with the rest of these guys?
What happens to these, like you said, these crazy kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great job by everyone involved, pretty much.
It's been It's been a fun year for movies so far, Andy.
That's what I told the boy. So Ryan and Mitt went to see this movie with me, and on the way home, I was like, man, I've just seen some fun movies this year.
It's been like exactly the kind of movies that we've been talking about, like these not gigantic budget,
Yeah.
just
Well,
original
I think the
stories.
budget on this was $18 million.
Yeah, I mean, so even something as ridiculous as Flight Risk. Yeah, and then of course Companion, we sung its praises. The Monkey, we sung its praises. This movie, we sung its praises. They're all these smaller, creative, fun movies that are all going to be just sort of one-offs. That are all just their own thing.
None of them are going to be franchises.
Yeah, and it's been a blast through all of them.
So much fun. And not every movie that has a small budget is a good movie, but it's like so many times when you don't have just infinite money to work with, you have to depend on creativity and better writing and stuff. And that's what we're seeing. Just these small movies that have to work for it, and it's paying off. Because like you said, what really jumps out to me is like this, Companion, and The Monkey.
Yeah. Just
3 original. I mean, The Monkey's the short story deal or whatever, but like it's got a lot of originality to it. And it's like just good, fun, kind of wild, creative, not afraid to take big risks movies. And you're right, it's been a blast.
If anything, the kind of disappointing of the movies of the year have been the bigger budget things.
All those movies were way better than Mickey 17.
Yeah, or even the new Captain America. And I haven't watched the new Russo brothers movie on Netflix yet.
It just came out yesterday, didn't it?
And it's like got over like a $300 million budget I saw.
And
I'm gonna watch it, but I'm really nervous about that one.
I know, me too.
Yeah,
because the last one they did was like The Gray Man or something.
Yeah,
which was just so, and it was like Chris Evans and Ryan Gosling, and it was just really generic.
It was.
Yeah. And listen, I love the Russo brothers, but yeah.
Next week, not the greatest of movie releases. Snow White is the big one. And I'm just gonna say we're probably not gonna be watching and reviewing Snow White.
Watching that movie,
especially since it's been well established how we feel about Disney live action remakes, and this one in particular just looks completely uninteresting to me.
So uninteresting. And then we've talked about this a little bit. The main star, Rachel Zegler, can't shut up about how stupid this movie is, and she's the star of it. She's turned people against it, and it has the makings of an all-time disaster.
Yeah. So I don't know. We might be talking a little bit about it as far as box office. We'll see what happens.
I have a feeling we will.
We will not be talking about it as far as we have seen it. There may be something else we figure out to see. It may just be a week that we use one of our alternate ideas. I will say we talked about maybe keeping the 25th anniversary movies alive going, and we haven't done that yet this year. So
maybe a good week for it.
To do that.
Yeah.
I did just want to throw out there, when I saw Novocaine, I told you beforehand, I saw as a double feature with that and Last Breath, which was the deep sea divers based on a true story movie. Woody Harrelson, who I love, and
how do you not like Woody?
A couple other guys. And my main hang up with seeing the movie was like, I feel like this movie's gonna make me really anxious. I'm gonna like, it's terrifying being like stuck in the deep bottom of the ocean. It was a good movie.
Good.
It's not like not a great movie. It's not like, hey, dude, you need to get there and see this. But it was a good movie. It's a family-friendly movie, I would say, and it's it's got that cheer moment at the end that you want in a movie like this. That
nothing wrong with movies like that.
Yeah, that I was just like perfectly
acceptable movie.
Yes, exactly.
So you had a good double feature then.
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
So the Last Breath, which is a very serious movie, not in like a bad way, not like self-serious movie, but it just is. It's a story of a guy trying to be rescued, and and then I was like, Novocaine was the perfect balance that
kind of
like now we're just gonna have fun and be crazy and etc. Yeah, it was a good double feature.
Nice. So I'm gonna drop a question on you that you're not prepared for.
Oh, okay, wait.
What do you think Jack Quaid should do going forward?
Oof,
now we're singing his praises. We're talking about how good he is. Or what would you like to see him do? Do you have any thoughts?
I think I'd like to see him do maybe a dramatic part. Not a big one, but just, we talked about it. He's been crushing it in these sort of fun, somewhat comedic, charming things.
Right.
And not that I want him to lose the comedy or charming, but maybe try, something that has a little more seriousness just to see what happens. Being a serious filmmaker's film, being in a Scorsese movie, be a
Fincher.
Fincher movie.
Yeah.
Just see those guys they still have comedy in their movies, so it's not like you can't be funny.
You
but
can still be, yeah.
But let's just see because I bet he can pull off the more dramatic too.
Oh, I bet he could too.
So
At this point, I'm willing to buy him in anything.
Yeah. So that's just he's been crushing it with the fun side.
He's killing
it. Yeah,
he's killing it.
And again, he can keep riding that wave. I won't be disappointed. But yeah,
I wouldn't either.
Maybe show us the serious leading man role. Steal a role from Chalamet. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Take one out. Yeah, Chalamet doesn't need every good serious role. He's doing
right.
fine.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah, Andy, this might be one of our really, really short episodes, but
I mean, we don't go on for an hour about this movie if people want us to, but we're just gonna keep going. And this was awesome, and this was really cool. Yeah. I will say really, really quickly, there was a good scene written in the middle of this movie too, where he has a phone conversation with the cop who's kind of on the case.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, she wasn't just like, no, you're the bad guy and I'm coming to get you. And it's like, there is a little bit of the misunderstanding of like, they think he's in on it. And that's another thing I feel like we've seen before. And I thought it was so refreshing for him to like answer his phone and be like, hey, I didn't do this, but I am going after this girl.
It was very funny too, because the other cop
like,
was like, "You really think he's going to answer his phone?
Idiot's going to answer their phone. Hello?" Yeah. And he says his name. He's like, "Hello, this is
Nathan Cain."
Nathan Cain. But it's like sometimes you only think of like good writing as like like Tarantino writing or like something that's big. But sometimes it's just the little touches and stuff like that. And that was just a great conversation.
Very like, heartfelt.
Yeah, like have you ever had someone in your life and she's like, "Yeah, my daughter."
And then it pays off later when she gives him the card from the daughter, and she says it's from my daughter, and you're like, right, because that's her person.
It's good stuff. And I like how the cop's like, she kind of believes what he's saying, but she's like, but I'm still gonna keep doing my job. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, it's just taking the old things that we've seen and just putting a little bit of a new twist on them, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, just again, not to just beat up on Mickey 17, but we talked about its problem was not having any heart, and how it's not really that hard to find heart in movies. That a movie like this could find all sorts of little bits of heart.
1 minute scene maybe when he's on the phone with that cop, and it provides some heart to the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lesson for you, Hollywood. You're always taking the wrong lessons from things. Just make sure you have a little heart in your movie. Give us something emotionally to connect to.
Doesn't have to be huge. Doesn't have to win you an Oscar, but just put something in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another completely pain-free episode.
Yes, I felt no pain during this episode at all.
This podcast, where we do whatever it takes to bring you guys the exciting podcast.
We squeeze podcasts in real quickly if we have to. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. But that'll do it for this week.
See you soon.
See you next week.